I just think it's what we're about through and through, really. It's just keeping it simple, keeping it authentic, and why not? I mean, I love the sort of Italian heritage and theme, right down to the floor in this place hasn't changed since this place opened in the late 40s. It's the same coffee machine that they had back then, and I just, it's a stone's throw from where I grew up. I used to hang around here a lot as a kid, so I think it's what this brand is about. It's authentic, it's made in Italy, which is what this is, and kind of made of Kilburn, so it is what it does, definitely. Well, I grew up around it. My father was a professional cyclist, so he left home from a young age, but my mum always informed me about what he did. So by the time I got to sort of 11, 12 years of age, I kind of was introduced to it by my mum, and I went to Herne Hill, started cycling there, started racing at Herne Hill, and just fell in love with the sport from that age. The timing of it as well, you always need an inspiration, someone to look up to, and that, for me at that age, at 12, was watching Chris Boardman win the Olympic Games in Barcelona on the Lotus bike. Cycling became mainstream for a day or two because it was on the front of every newspaper, and that's it then. That's the catalyst for falling in love with something. And I remember thinking at that age, that's what I want to do. I want to do that. I want to win. And 12 years later, I won that event in Athens. So it was that's where it all started for me. I've never really looked back. I have the same love and passion for it today as I did back then. So
similar for me. I mean, 14 and 15 years old, getting into cycling as a way of probably getting out of school in some ways, and then meeting Brad on the GB team as juniors. You were already, as 1997 was when we first met, but by 1998 you were already a world champion as a junior, and obviously on your way to great things. But yeah, equally a massive fan and a passionate follower of the sport, and the heroes that were winning at those times. For me, it was Indurain. So I think 91 was his first tour win. And then went on to win 5, and I was just like, he's a hero, he's amazing, he's a hero, and someone who, I actually don't have many heroes. I'm more like, I want to try and achieve something of my own, but he's just such an example of cool, calm, powerful performance that, just really kind of connected with me. And then I'm sure in the same way Brad would have noticed, well, not only was he passionate about it, but he also was pretty talented. And I was coming from quite a low level of a family background, and not very privileged, not much money in the family, and it was a way for me to get, one, out of the house and see the world, which is what happened very, very quickly, and two, people were giving us stuff. Here's a jersey, here's a bike, here's a trip, here's a holiday, well, not a holiday, training camp, and that really very quickly turned into a job and a serious passion for what we were doing for the next 20 years.
I think the biggest influence when we were both 18 was a guy called Mike Taylor, who lived in Chapel on Frith in Derbyshire, and he was the British junior coach at that time. So we were forever going away to trips in France and Belgium, and his job went, in the days there was no money in cycling then, so his job went beyond just taking us away. In between races we'd be at his house, his wife would cook for us. He was almost like certainly for a lot of us, was kind of almost like a grandfather figure, father figure for so many kids that passed through his system.
Yeah. Steve Cummins, Tom Southam,
Charlie Vergalis, Jamie Alberts. I mean, he was just, they went beyond the call of duty, and I think we were all so grateful for what they'd done, and we still keep in contact today. And that was our schooling and our grounding, and kind of from that we found an apartment up the road which he acquired, and we moved in. We lived together when we were 19, so that wouldn't happen today again, but that's what it was like 20 years ago. So
intermittently it came about at the back of the bunch in the Tour of Britain, where I was trying to convince Brad that he wasn't with the right brands, and we need to have a conversation. And it was kind of a laughy, jokey conversation, but at the same time it was a little bit serious, and it's just kind of evolved really. Brad's always had a very strong style, and I've always liked and respected it. And the prospect of having him involved in a commercial setup that we've got now has just been a dream come true in many ways, especially after the achievements and just the weight of his say, or if he says I like this and I'm going to choose this, that's a huge amount of sway, and absolutely so it should. So, but also that together this is definitely a partnership. This is definitely a joint thing, and equally we share and reflect on ideas and inspiration all the time. What you see is just the tip of the iceberg, but we've gone through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of things to get down to what you see now, and it will continue on to evolve, to progress, and we'll share different ideas that will come about from different things, and that's part of the excitement of it. That's the beauty of owning the business and being the owner and the ambassador. We can just have a conversation. We don't have to go through layers of management, layers of
And I
protocol.
guess you can get things done very quickly. You can get things
Very much
moving.
so. Yeah.
It's great. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, they come from all different sources really, mainly just stuff I kind of take off the internet, real self-indulgent. Anything I like really, I just sort of screen grab or take, or I've got a huge, I have 600 odd jerseys at home of cycling jerseys from old ones, and just kind of taking elements of things that I like. Definitely a retro feel, things definitely from a time when things were simpler in jersey design and there was less sponsorship sort of detail to think about and placement of sponsor stuff, so you can really sort of have fun with kind of the design and stuff. One of the jerseys was actually taken from a jersey the team my dad rode for in the 80s, so I kind of took that. The gold theme was still quite important to me and my brand because of the Olympic heritage within me, and that had to run through the jersey. It was important that it looked very different to what anyone else is doing, and also be able to continue it, because obviously we've got lots of other. This is a long-term thing, The things that are really important to me about being different, kind of non-conforming to what everyone else is doing or what people necessarily like. This is about us not necessarily telling people what they're going to like, but it's about being
Influencing opinion.
influencing, but also taking risks. I think definitely calculated risks.
I would say, there's so many brands in the world. It's very, very rare that you find a unique design. So if you imagine sort of 10 years ago, it was very classic, simple, plain, blocky colours, blocky kind of designs. Then about 7 or 8 years ago, it got really, probably led by the Southern Hemisphere, very flowery, very bright. Since then, pretty much everything has been done. Apart from this, I would say, and nowhere does this exist, this style applied in this way, with the heritage and the nod and the respect to where it's come from, in a modern and progressive way at the same time, and balancing that up together is probably this range is probably one of the most unique ranges that exists today, because in the past I would say if someone, and it's a classic line that you see, oh, we looked for this and we couldn't find it so we designed our own. You didn't look hard enough, basically, if you say that now. Whereas this is probably, again, like I said, the most unique range that exists today, which is I'm proud to be a part of, and is a reflection on Brad's style and identity, which is massive. I'll probably answer that in that it was really easy. One, it was about a jersey that isn't far off of when the era that we're talking about has been reflected right through the range, and all we really did was take that design and apply the colour palette so it fits in the whole range and it looks consistent, doesn't stand out with an obviously different palette, and it looks really smart. It's a nice jersey. It was time for it to come back, and I think it's been done really, really classy. Take all the other extra logos off, and even the way Sigma's been applied is, again, a conversation with you guys, is we don't want it to take over. We want it to be there, we want it to be clear, but we don't want it to be off balance. So the jersey is still the design of the jersey that's leading on. When you look at it, that's what you see, but you can see that there's a nice little logo, and there's a really respectful nod to the support that Sigma gave Brad at a certain time in his life, and that's now reflected back in the jersey that you see today.
As I say, I had an association with Sigma, going way back to then really, and Ian and the guys there, and that kit that I was wearing, it's quite an iconic kit with Sigma. I mean, it's the first kind of that association with them and guys like Matthew Stevens and all that riding for Sigma in those days. Obviously they changed kit over the years, but it always comes back to that kit, and you're talking 18 years ago now, so it's getting to the point where that is a nod to the past as well, which we've done with this jersey for Sigma. So yeah.
Like it. Brad's like he said, I don't care, I can do whatever I like, and he does, and he rolls his sleeves up and he rolls his shorts up, and he's doing it for a reason. And then I'm like, Brad, yeah, but some of the people that are buying, they want to look at it like this. But to be honest, it's all. I think I would say that talking again from the point of having confidence to be different, that's not a problem. And while there is cycling etiquette, and I've got like, little ideas in my mind that I like to dress in a certain way, it's not looked down on if you want to do it differently. Like that's absolutely fine. If you're sharing in the passion of cycling, then you're welcomed into this group, into this community, into this brand. So yeah, there's different levels of do's and don'ts, but ultimately, if you like cycling, then you're welcome.
Yeah, I mean, mine kind of is ingrained from a young age. Of my hero when I was a kid was Sean Yates, and Sean would, first thing he'd do is he'd have short shorts made. And he says now when he used to live in Nice, and when he go to the beach, he didn't want silly tan lines. He'd cut his jersey, to fit him, cut holes in the armpits and all that, because obviously kit in those days was very different to what it is now. It wasn't very functional. And so I just kind of, since I was a kid, I've been doing that with my kit, so I still do it today. I have Sean's yellow jersey from the tour that he wore in '94, and he's cut the sleeves at the back of the to let it out, and just things like that. I think it's
Very cool.
brilliant.
Yeah,
I mean, from a personal point of view, if I could project forward from when I was 15 and think how much kit I've got to choose from, it's the ultimate amount, basically. As in, I could wear a different jersey and never wash one for the rest of the year and next year. But I always try and be consistent. I'm not obsessive compulsive. Like, I've got friends who've got 3 bikes, 3 pairs of shoes, 3 helmets, and then different sets of kit that go with those. Like, I'm not that level, and I've got better things to focus on, to be honest. But I do like to. Well, one, it's important I look smart. We represent who we are and what we do all the time, every day we go out. And really, just it being smart and clean and sharp is always always part of that process. But like I said, there's a lot of choice, so it can change quite a lot. I was actually someone who has a very conservative dress style, and as you can see, like I would wear similarly colours off the bike as on the bike, so just plain blue, black, whatever, and that would be my style. And actually, certain influences came from other parts of the world that meant the brand had to evolve and expand into other areas, and that was something that I personally wasn't ready to do, but we did it because it was right for the brand. And then a year later, I'm like, I quite like that pattern. I would never have worn a pattern before, but I'm like, I should probably try that on. And it looked smart, and I liked it, and now I'm actually moving on my style thanks to the brand and where it's gone. And I'm sure, some of Brad's influences will affect me, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I've already started thinking I'm gonna wear this one when it's launched.
I don't know. It's so difficult now because things are so different now too. We in the late '80s or the late '90s when we were juniors, we mostly rely on hand-me-downs from people, because again, kit wasn't like it is now. I mean, you go to any race or any kind of group run on a Saturday or a Sunday, and everyone has got the latest kit on. It's just. It's hard to imagine a time when it wasn't like it is now. I mean, even when we were on the British team 20 years ago, we'd have a jersey, you'd have to give them back at the end of the year, and they'd go to another rider. So you couldn't do too much with them, and you'd wash them to death. One race in the rain, and you try and save one for later in the year.
And you're also like, I'm a small, but we've only got mediums. It was a bit like that. And I think to have an aero jersey, you'd have been at a huge advantage back then. Obviously, it's all evolved through now, but
actually living through that, I think, informs us of what we're doing now, which is, I think, you wouldn't change it at all, because knowing a time like that is
knowing a time like that is absolutely fundamental
key to it,
to making decisions. Yeah. It's a huge statement, I would say, and we've been in Sigma a couple of times, but nothing like this. And Sigma has grown and developed as a brand, and as a shop, and as a retail space in a huge way in the last 10 years. You well know, you've been there for long enough, and you know what you've achieved as a brand is incredible, and I'm just pleased that we've elevated ourselves, and with the influences of Brad, been able to elevate ourselves up to an equal sort of level when it comes to servicing that and catering for a customer that you now have identified and have worked very, very hard to build and have done a really, really good job. So commercially it's a fantastic partnership, and I'm actually thinking there's a few other little tie-ins that will work quite nicely off the back of this. That obviously we all kind of came from the same place. Ian and Jason started the shop, what was it, 25 years ago, and that's pretty much around the time we started riding our bikes, and we've all gone on our journeys, and there's this nice kind of interwoven aspect of our experiences and our achievements coming back around. It's interesting, it's good, it's nice.
Yeah, the only thing I kind of always come back to with Sigma when I think of Sigma is when I won the Olympic gold in London in 2012. The only real memory I have from that day, because it was such a blur and you're so focused when you're out on the course and you're riding it and you're getting time split. It was about 5-6k to go. We went over Kingston Bridge and it funneled down into the roundabout and kind of into walking pace through the roundabout to the right hand, and past Sigma Sport on the left, and just the noise I can still remember today, giving me goosebumps of the amount of people that was condensed down to 3 or 4 abreast, coming out, re-accelerating out that roundabout outside Sigma Sport, and going on to win then in Hampton Court, and kind of going back to the shop later today in order to launch the kit. Just there's so much there's just so much association with Sigma, as I say, going back to that photo, and kind of the Olympics went past the shop, and then here we are today, kind of launching the kit there later. It's as I say, start from being in here this morning to going back there later. It's just this with Yanto, and it's just brilliant. It's so authentic. I keep coming back to that authenticity of the whole thing. It runs through everything we're doing with it.
Brilliant. Well, I think I've run out of questions, but no, and there you go. I think we've run out of time as well. So perfect. Thank you very much.